Hello folks, I'm Alex, this is Alex Unabridged, and today it's time for a bit of fantasising about 10 books that I would love in an ideal world to have on my best shelf. So welcome back to the channel if that is the case. Yes, I am accepting the open invitation from Gavin over at Genre Books to jump on board with this idea, this video. This is your best shelf, and it's not a tag, but it kind of is a bit of a tag. And Gavin came up with this last week. He has just finished a whole series of bookshelf tours for his bookshelves. And so he decided he was going to put together this kind of special fantasy list of the 10 books that he would really love to own in an ideal world where, you know, money was no object, sourcing these things was no object. So almost anything goes with this, but there are a few rules. So the first one is money is no object. You don't have to worry about the price. Two is that you must choose stuff that you can actually read, so nothing in a language that you can't read, for instance. And three, the third rule is the books chosen must actually exist somewhere in the world. So no kind of lost books or manuscripts, unfinished stuff, things like that. So those are the rules, but other than that, whatever you fancy. So yes, so I really enjoyed Gavin's video, and Pat's just done one as well, book chat with Pat, and she did actually tag me in hers. So thank you for that, Pat. And yes, I decided I will definitely jump on board with this one. So then, let's get into my list then of the 10 books I would love to have on my shelves. I will pop some pictures up of the editions if I've got them on screen, along with a kind of an estimated price tag as well, because a lot of these are on this wish list because they're just way out of my budget. But yeah, I'll pop up the bits of information and pictures and stuff as we go through the list. So the first on the list then is the only first edition of something that I've got on the list. I think with a lot of first editions, especially older stuff, I would be too terrified of damaging them to actually read them. And I've kind of stuck with stuff on this list that I would be happy to have on the shelves, but would also actually want to read, be happy physically handling it. So yeah, just one first edition, and that's The Passage by Justin Cronin, because it is my favourite book of all time, and it would be lovely to have a first UK edition on the shelves, and one that is signed and numbered with a nice slipcase so it stays nice. Yeah, that would be lovely, just because it is my favourite book. Nothing has knocked it off that spot in many years, and it's going to take something very, very special to do that. And yeah, that's the only one where I'm like, yeah, do you know what? I would really quite like a signed first edition. Okay, next up, another favourite, one of my favourite horror books, and that's The Exorcist. I've read this several times over the years, and it never fails to terrify me. I find it such an atmospheric book. But I've only ever had it in like battered old copies out the library, or I've got it as an ebook. But I saw a while ago, when just browsing through fancy book sites, the Suntup, one of the Suntup editions. They've done several editions. And this is the numbered edition, really caught my eye, and this was limited to 250 copies. And I just really like the very simple design of this, and just the really like plain, nice sort of purple binding. I think it's a cloth binding, and looking at some of the artwork that's included in it, it looks really nice as well. So yeah, I would really quite like a copy of that. That Suntup, they've sold out, so it is something you would have to get, you know, elsewhere. Yeah, there's quite a hefty price tag on that one. Okay, next up then, we've got a deluxe edition of a graphic novel, and it's The Incal by Jodorowsky and Moebius. I read this a while ago, but I read it digitally, and that was just I mean, it's great, but that was not the way to read it. Mobius's art is so detailed, and like the color wise, it really wants the color to pop, I think. And the bigger the better for something like that. When it comes to detail and artwork, the bigger the better. And you'll see a theme on that. You'll see that theme throughout the list, really. Yeah, this is a really nice edition by the looks of it. It's got, again, it's slipcase, sort of linen finish, and it comes with an additional portfolio with some prints as well of two iconic scenes. One version is like black and white or just like line work, and the other's coloured, and that's a really nice sort of addition to sort of a collector's edition, a deluxe edition. But it's printed on a really nice, I think, gloss paper. Either it's like satin or gloss, and the colours look like they really pop on it. And it's a great size as well, so you can get the detail. So yeah, something like that. For something like the Incal, which is, as I say, so detailed, I want a good, big, nice, chunky book to sit down and enjoy. That one is not super duper pricey. That one is something I can see potentially getting my hands on at some point in the future if I wanted to. Okay, one that I definitely won't be getting my hands on anytime soon is a Taschen book. Taschen do some fantastic art books. I have a few Taschen art design books, which I've collected over the years. Those are my kind of only sort of expensive fancy books, really, like art books. And this one is on H.R. Geiger. I love H.R. Geiger's work. Alien, obviously, is where you know H.R. Geiger from, the design for the film. And this book spans kind of his painting, sculpture, film work, album covers. It's got like big sort of fold out spreads in it. It's got essays and an extensive kind of biography of Geiger based on his own writings. This is a limited edition from Taschen, and it's what they call their baby sumo size. It is 50 centimeters tall, so it's a big boy. It's big. I mean, for comparison, this is one of the Taschens that I own. This is what's called the XXL size, I think, and this is like 39 centimeters tall. I don't even know if I've got the whole thing of that in frame, to be fair. And it weighs a ton, but they're beautiful. And like when you're looking at artwork or design work, that's the way to do it. But yeah, this one is 50 centimeters tall, and weighs in at a whopping 13 kilograms. So I probably need some sort of reinforced desk to like put it on to read it. Not one to read on your lap, really, is it? But yeah, it's again, detailed work. You know, there's so much detail in Geiger's work. I would want that as big as possible. So yeah, beautiful, beautiful looking edition, but not the most practical when you haven't got a library room with some sort of display table. But I can dream. Okay, next one then is something a bit different, really. I mean, this is pushing the boundaries of sort of, you know, obtainable books, I think, probably. But it exists, so I'm going for it, damn it. This is a handwritten, as in calligraphy, hand-bound set of 6 volumes, which make up an edition of The Living Mountain by Nan Shepherd. It's produced by an artist and calligrapher called Susie Leiper. Now, The Living Mountain is an absolute classic of nature writing. It's kind of become kind of what I measure a lot of nature writing against, because it is just, it's so interesting, but it's so beautifully written. It's a love letter to the Cairngorms. It's incredibly lyrical. It's just a fantastic piece of writing. And it would be lovely to have something which is, you know, a one-off, essentially, because this is an artist's book, or a set of artists' books in the volumes. There was a crowdfunder for this to put it into, you know, kind of publication for a limited edition copies, you know, that kind of thing, made by Thames and Hudson. but it didn't reach its crowdfunding target, unfortunately, so it didn't get published widely. But the books exist. That's the main thing. The books exist as books, even if there's only the one set of them. So I have no idea how much it would cost to obtain them, or whether you'd be able to negotiate to even obtain them. But they exist, and I want them, damn it. So they're on this list. But yeah, I would love something that has had that amount of time and care, love poured into it, with extra kind of illustrations or kind of graphics within it, hand bound. It feels like the right sort of book production for that particular text, if you like. So yeah, that would be fantastic. Okay, something that should be more obtainable is The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame. A really nice edition of that. This is one of my childhood favourites. This was read to us by Mum multiple times, and we had it on book on tape as well. And I think she probably got bored of reading it to us. And it went on, every night for a long time. It is an absolute favourite. I love it. It gave me my love of badgers and weasels and mustelids. Basically, it's where I kind of sort of first found those as a kid, and just generally my love of kind of sort of nature, British countryside nature type stuff. It's a wonderful comfort read. I'm going to try and reread it this year as a comfort read, because it's just the sort of thing I'm craving at the moment. There's a great audiobook version of it on Audible Plus catalogue, which I can tap into. So yeah, I would really love a really nice copy of this. And there is a lovely edition made by Barnes and Noble, one of their collectible editions, and I love the design of this, and it's got some great illustrations in it by Nancy Barnhart. And it's the sort of book where I think I want illustrations. I really want illustrations in this. So yeah, it exists. It's like $15 at Barnes and Noble. But Barnes and Noble don't ship to the UK. So I'm going to have to try and source it, if I want it, somewhere, through a kind of third-party seller here. It's going to cost a little more than the $15. But I think it's obtainable. That's one I need to just research on and try and find it somewhere in the UK. Okay, next up we're back to Taschen, coming down to the XXL size, which, as I say, is like the one I showed you, but for another artist that really does detail, and that's Hieronymus Bosch. So the complete works of Hieronymus Bosch. Lots of sort of delicious demons and nightmarish creatures and weirdness, and just I love it. And this edition, as I say, it's a big one again, and it comes with like fold outs, like big fold outs to the Garden of Earthly Delights, which, if you really want to properly find all the detail in it, you need that big. You can't do that on a normal sized book, I don't think. Yeah, I would love to kind of not just be able to pore over the Garden of Earthly Delights and actually find all the detail in it and stuff, but there's so much more in all of Bosch's other works as well. So yeah, to have all of it, I think that would be another fantastic one to lay out on a nice, custom library table in my dream house and pore over for hours on end. Okay, next one. I couldn't have a list like this and not include a folio edition, but there were a lot that I could have picked to go on this list. But one that I do particularly like is the complete short stories of Philip K. Dick. It's a limited edition of about 750 copies, and it's got all of PKD's short stories in, so I think like 120-ish, something like that. And it's got lots of illustrations in it as well by lots of different artists, which is great. But I just love the really bold, bright colours of this, and the fact it's a box set coming in these different volumes. Each volume is different colours and all that kind of stuff. I really, really like the design of this. It's really just blocky, bold colours. And And yeah, that one is like, if I was going to pick something that was on the pricier end on Folio for a fantasy book list, I think that's probably the one I'd go for. There is, however, a selected short stories of Philip K. Dick by Folio as well, which I also really like the look of. That one might make it into my house and onto my shelves at some point, because that is not out of the realms of possibility, and it has a lot of the same art in it as this 4-volume set. But really, I'd like the box set, please. Okay, penultimate one. This one is a slight cheat in the fact that this at the moment is a pre-order. It's due out in Q2 of this year. So right now it doesn't exist, but it will exist within a few months. So I'm taking it. And this is called Grace Given, The Mythology of Elden Ring. So this is about the video game Elden Ring by From Software. And this is an edition, a collector's edition, published by Tune and Fairweather, who have done quite a lot of really lovely art books about the art and kind of mythologies and stuff of different From Software games, amongst other things, but certainly the ones like Dark Souls, Demon Souls, I think they've done, more Elden Ring stuff, Bloodborne. Really, that they obviously kind of like, you know, that's their thing. And they all look lovely. And this one, as I say, this one is a new one. And this one attracts me more than any of the others because this is the mythology. And it's the mythology of that game in particular that I find fascinating. George R.R. Martin worked closely with From Software to help do the world building and the mythology. And so it's got that level of detail in it. It's fascinating. And this just looks like a gorgeous edition. I really like the cover design, the slipcase, and the inside of it looks brilliant as well. There's some great artwork from, you know, or depicting characters, etc. From the game. It's got some great sort of graphic art style things in it, and some great sort of ornamentation. I really like the look of the layout of it. Yeah, it just looks like a beautiful, beautiful book. But yeah, it's just one of those that's just, it's way outside my price range. But yeah, it can go on this list for now. Okay, and the last one on the list then is something that I do think I'll probably end up owning at some point because it's not wildly expensive at all. And that is the deluxe edition manga of At the Mountains of Madness by Gao Tanabe. I never know how to pronounce that. And so this is combining the 2 volumes of his manga adaptation together in a nice and slightly larger edition. I've only read the first volume so far, but I loved it. It was a 5-star read, and it very nearly made my top 10 books last year. Because the level of detail, again, we're back at detail for artwork. The level of detail in it is phenomenal. The atmosphere in it is just so well created through his artwork. Because this is slightly bigger than a normal sized manga volume, that'll really help with that being able to really appreciate that detail. Yeah, that one I would really, really like. And that one is one where I think I could actually obtain that. It's probably one that I'd have to put on a present list, you know, a Christmas list or something. But it's doable. It's definitely doable. So there we go then. Those are the 10 books that I would absolutely love to have on my shelves someday. Some are obtainable, some are absolutely not. So yes, I will leave it there for now and say thank you very much for watching, folks. As always, do drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do let me know what your, you know, number one most desirable book is to have on your shelves if money was no object. I will be back soon with some more bookish rambles, so I do hope you'll join me then. But from me, for now, that's ta-ra.